All right, EA Ermor, turn 80, closing in on the end of the game here. Okay, so bringing in some summons. We've talked about that. Hey, we can declare a new prophet. I forget how we lost the last one. Let's see. Okay, this must be our raid against militia, which we would never lose to militia. We would never lose a pile of mages against militia. That's not something we would do. So luckily, militia are fairly slow, right? Our fire elementals coming out fairly late in the script, and you do have to be careful about that. Yeah, again, you see like fire communion, at least from an evocation standpoint, much more effective compared to like a nature communion. So that works out for us, but it was a little scary there, right? Bodyguards, but we didn't have any there. So that does work out for us. We are happy. And then, yeah, this is right. We're attacking Russ's throne. The lone fire snake, yeah, just province defense, because, Russ has a lot of problems right now, and so this should work out for us, because, we would never lose to province defense. We have a couple of ethereal trolls in there. Probably going to lose a few trolls. Some fellows sneak through. Looks like, yeah, we do have some bodyguards here, which kind of works out for us. So, yeah, not the cleanest win, but, we do come away with it. Not that we'll be able to hold that, but still, this also positions, we lose a decent amount of stuff. We should be able to raid against minimal PD. This is one of the situations where we have a fire jar, so we're always going to be able to get our fire elemental. We're planning on taking this group and raiding into Vanheim. We'll probably just leave like one infantry behind just to see how Russ reacts. There is the possibility that, he just lets our flag defend it. I don't think he's aware that we have a non-aggression pact with Niflheim, but it's not like he's really using that fort, so it's not the end of the world for him to leave it under our flag. So just kind of curious to see. I don't think so. I think we'll definitely get a reaction, but that's also interesting. Right, here's our trolls killing independent trolls. Probably should try to charm or slave mine. I don't think we have charm yet. Anyway, yeah, these trolls. I was gonna say we could add to our troll count because we can actually afford it. Yeah, and then of course, here's the AI attacking us. That's okay though. Our army is next door. Oh Lord, yeah. So they sent their whole force against us. There's not too much mage support, which is good news. Yeah, it's just this fire 2. That's fine. Okay, this guy as well. So a little bit of mage support. And these infantry suck. These archers can be a little dangerous. These guys summon birds, which is annoying. And these guys can be kind of nasty, especially in this cave, right? Since they have perfect dark vision. But, is this going to be able to stop our army? No. We do lose that province though, of course. Wow, those look similar. Okay, and then here we are fighting Vanheim. Yeah, so this is our 3 combined raiding groups, and just 1 PD. I think we can take that, even though there is an elf there. So yeah, no losses, no surprises there. That's good. And then here's our eagles going unsupported, and it looks like they don't get attacked, so that's good, right? If AI Ubar was going to attack us, we much prefer they come into the caves. And this is a decent amount of PD, but I think even unsupported, okay, nice. We got the commander as well, so that's going to help a bunch. So yeah, our eagles are able to handle that. Burden of time, of course. There's a battle in Agartha. This is probably, special monsters. This is Illwinter related, I'm guessing. No, actually. This kind of looks like a Call of Nature, I think, or I forget the spell, but there's a spell where you get to summon in wolves and a werewolf. I find I like werewolves, right? I just think they're cool. So I play a lot of nations that don't really have good thug options. And you look at it and it's yeah, maybe a thug. I mean, okay, it's in the dark. Normally they're not this bad, but they're pretty bad. I don't know, they just don't do great. And this spell tends to not do well. In this case, I think it's gonna work out. We don't have a lot of province defense here, but a lot of times the wolves go in first, and then they HP route the werewolf. And wolves are pretty awful. So if it wasn't for the fact that our commander was gonna get sniped, we might actually be able to come away with this. Oh, okay, nice. We actually have 2 commanders. Yeah, right, so there you go. Special monsters are routed. So, yeah, that spell, it just, I want it to be better, but it's not. Not sure who did that. Probably Russ, but I guess it's one of those ones that's anonymous. Oh, interesting. This is actually marked as a skin shifter, so maybe it isn't that spell I was talking about, but if it isn't, it looks very similar. I'm not sure why we had our lone fellow patrolling. That was probably a mistake, but anyway, we'll have to see if that keeps up. That might be Illwinter related. And then we find some nature gems. That's nice. Some people are displeased and left in search of a better place to live. Good luck with that. A worldwide event has occurred. Let's see. Great Storm. Huh, this is interesting. Well, hey, there you go. There's a good event. So units have been healed. We definitely have some people that could use some healing, so I don't think that's going to make a huge difference, but we'll take it. And then we have a couple forts under siege, right? So let's see, Yellow Mountains. Yeah, this is the throne. We're not really planning on breaking them down, but it does look like it's empty, right? It's just a palisade, so there's not a lot of wall strength, but we don't really have much in the way of troops on top of this, and we're already moderately damaged, so that probably is a legitimately empty fort. We breached Helheim, speaking of empty forts, and Eagles, their siege strength is what they do. And then, of course, we already had this throne fort breached. We'll probably storm this turn depending on what we see inside there, and yeah, I'll catch you guys after the jump. All right, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. So in the good news department, right, our raid against this throne worked. Also, this is an incredibly nice province from gem income. I haven't tallied it all up, but a lot of these are 2 gem sites. And of course, this throne is providing, there's a ton of gems, so it might just, forget Thrones and Niflheim winning, just from a gem perspective, it might be worth mobilizing a significant amount of forces to try to grab this province. But we are not ready to do that currently, right? We are trying to nab the rest of this territory. Sadly, no gem income from this province, and you can see we haven't really bought ourselves too much. We'll probably try to do a little bit of site searching. It is a forest, it's the early age, surely there must be a gem site in here somewhere. But we're going to split out our raiders right into their constituent parts. So here's our fire elementals coming from our augurs. Not expecting a lot of province defense really in any of these places. On Abysia, this is probably the most dangerous raid. You can see there's some Woodhenge druids. I do expect Vanheim to resist us. So we could be up against some swarm or something like that here, and we're just going to send the legionaries in. We'll see. This might lose to a decent amount of province defense, and we're just going to put some body ethereal and luck on them. Legionaries are decent, so if it's just province defense, I think we'll win. There's a decent chance this group bounces, but that's okay. We have more stuff moving in to help. And then our Equite group is going to come down here and take this border province. And then we have this other motley crew of stuff that's moving in, and if our raid on Abysia fails, then they should be able to push through whatever kind of resistance is on Abysia. And then in terms of siege strength, of course, we are bringing in more eagles. We're up to 10 eagles. We're going to do 1 more eagle summoning this turn, and then I think that'll be enough siege strength. You can see we have a lot of other stuff here, right? So a lot of this is going to be the fire snakes and stuff, but these eagles provide a ton of siege strength, 16.5 per eagle. So it doesn't take all that many eagles, to fairly quickly crack forts. So they will be responsible for actually breaking down Abyssia's walls and letting us storm that. We are going to send an augur raiding group to the north here, because we can see that of course Russ is active and he's recaptured this. I did not remember to send a magic duel guy with this group, but they do at least new and improved. They have the terracotta soldiers, so I may have to go change this. And we can see of course Russ is still going to be defending himself on his capital. That's not going to be an easy fight. He's summoning a bunch more long dead horsemen. We're not really looking to try to break this. We can also see that there's no Scrotty here anymore, so I think probably he died, because I don't see any surrounding Niflheim flag. So yeah, Russ is still active. Speaking of active, here's a good amount of skin shifters here, 60 units, mainly firebirds, but then some skin shifters definitely. So want to keep an eye on this definitely. We're moving into this province. We've lost contact with Niflheim's army that I'm expecting moved out, right? So they probably either went here or here, and I'm not sure if they're ready to open war with Femoria, right? So if they're going to go after this throne, I'm expecting them to move into this province, right, and around here. So we're going to move our scout here to see if that's true. And then I believe we are scrying on this province this turn, because, it's also possible, I realized I wasn't thinking that Niflheim was going to immediately go for Russ's capital, but maybe he will, right? This is a really powerful force that defeated a really powerful Rusian force. So in some senses, right, why wait and let the skin shifter numbers rebuild? I'm sure that Niflheim is aware of the fact that skin shifters are capital only, the same as I am. So yeah, there's a good chance that it's already headed down here, and of course, we've talked about, there's a throne on offer right here, so it's yeah, there's a throne over here, but the skin shifters and a throne are over here. So anyway, just trying to keep eyes on like what Niflheim is doing. Obviously, like if they're moving on the capital, then we probably want to accelerate our timetable for trying to nab this throne. Whether or not we can pull that off is another question. We aren't really recruiting hardly any troops, like just a few legionaries, really few legionaries on the border here with Niflheim. Not really even sure how worthwhile that recruitment is. I do think it takes a while, even with burden of time up, for those legionaries to get old and useless. But we have full mage recruitment, so that's in the good news department. And then like in the south, we're going to go after Bogus. Obviously, there is some risk that we bump with this army, but I mean, unless Femoria was lying and is actually planning on coming after me, like this is kind of an aggressive move. He needs this to move through, and like that's fine. But once he moves into this province, it's kind of like, okay, well then he has to backtrack, right, or attack me. So anyway, I reached out to him and let him know that like, hey, we're retaking this turn. Like, please let's not have bumps, which I think he would do much better than we would, because we're sending in just kind of a nut squad here. Heavy on the mages, very light on the chaff. We did recruit a few Oni out of that cave, and then the plan is like some of these guys, right, are going to make skeletons, so we should get a decent amount of chaff. We do have to worry about the one flying guy who's going to try to leap in immediately and kill our people. But we're going to mix in some Banefire, and like we have this Lich who's going to be disintegrating and then just advance and cast spells. So I think we'll be fine. Like it's a lot of high level casters. We're also going to summon in some water elementals. Water elementals are pretty darn good. A few lesser air elementals, to mix things up. I think they have like one spellcaster with them, so hopefully these air elementals go to the back and prevent him from doing too many soul slays against us or something like that. We'll see. We could lose to Bogus. It's not impossible, but I have high hopes for this group. But they're definitely not going to be able to hold off, a full Fomorian army. So definitely some risk there. And then we see a Fomorian king here, so like it does kind of, either Femoria is going to be attacking us, right, or it looks like they're moving into position, right, to attack Russ, and they may be thinking about trying to grab Helheim. So I talked to them and said like, hey, I was planning on grabbing this province, right, I've been fighting back and forth with Russ for this. I'm not going to move into it this turn, and I said like, if you want to move through it, like that's fine. We'll see. Like I said, Femoria has been relatively accommodating so far, and we did just provide like a pretty decent trade, so hopefully we've garnered some goodwill that will net us this one province. I did mention like, hey, I'm already sieging Helheim, so that he's not going to waste his time moving over here, because not that we would ever be able to be knocked off of Helheim. Speaking of Helheim, we're more or less abandoning the siege. Did not mention that part to Femoria. We are leaving an eagle behind, right? So no lies. Helheim is indeed under siege by us and cracked, but kind of afraid of like, this one little fellow down here. So it's like there's only 7 enemy units, and the Chud Berserkers, they're not, or Chud Berserkers, however you say it, they're not as sacreds, so like that's fine. Our eagles could probably beat this. Our eagles could beat this. What our eagles could not beat, right, is this cap only caster here. So, and we know how fast these guys are, and I mean, this isn't rough, this isn't even that far of a move anyway, because you can just move through his own controlled territory, no rough terrain. I think all of our eagles would definitely die to one of his geared out thugs. So we're abandoning for the moment, right? Our main army is on the move. Of course, AI Ubar attacked us. There's a pretty good chance they jump on top of our fort, and like, I don't know. We're moving our augurs back in. They can spam out like a fire elemental or two. This army is not that scary, but will crack this palisade pretty quickly, and we really, such a crappy province. Like, I mean, there's a lot of gem income here, right? So the fort does make sense from that standpoint, but it's a terrible place to try to recruit out of. So we're not really going to be able to stop that. Probably should be mustering something up here to like go retake this, because I don't want our army to waste its time. Like, we're just going to let AI Ubar take that fort if they want to, because we're going to move here, and then this army is what's actually going to be able to take Helheim. So we'll see. The AI is like, right, they could backtrack. Who knows? They're incredibly unpredictable. They may just move into us. I don't think that they really have a great sense of like relative army strengths. So no telling what they'll do. Speaking of dicey things, we're going to try to storm this fort. There's not much in here, right? Just a couple of probably just one Rusian wizard and a white mage. So So like it could be painful, and we're mostly not risking stuff, but definitely this guy, like this is a risk. So it's just like trolls. We're gonna have army of gold. We're gonna pump out some fire elementals, make some skeletons. Like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That is enough to beat what's in here. If he chooses to gateway a bunch of stuff in, we'll lose. So, but the Eagles moving back will at least like maintain the siege. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. His pretender, I think, is dead, or at least like in the wind. Not at a lab. Like we don't see him here, right? We can see his hero, was twice born, right? So he's got them back as a white mage, but they weren't high astral, and so and then most of his skin shifters are here, although of course he has some at the capital. Definitely, we don't really see anybody present here that is capable of gatewaying. Now that doesn't mean that they aren't there, right? Scout reports are inconsistent, and a lot of his stuff is stealthy, so it's possible, but I think unlikely. So worth the risk. And yeah, I think that covers the military situation. We talked recruiting. Our scout network is still cruising around. We're trying to get scouts kind of more or less in position, like at least like near or sometimes on top of thrones. Like I think we have a fellow. Yeah, it looks like Niflheim is not really bothering to garrison this throne just yet, which makes sense. I mean, they're really busy. We can actually see a Therodian flag down here, so possibly Theridos is making inroads in the south here. Previously we thought like, okay, maybe he was making inroads up here, but we can see like Niflheim still controls an underwater capital. So, I mean, like, that's pretty significant. Like, if Theridos was doing really well, I would expect them to have, like, right, it's like, we'll handle the underwater first, right, where you're stronger, especially for something like this. Like, if Niflheim raids away, like, one or two provinces here and there, like, who cares? But this is fairly significant. And again, like, we don't really see any coastal presence, right, from Theridos up here. We do know that, like, yeah, right, he has some coastal presence here. So I'm assuming, he has peace, like, with some of his neighbors. So he has, like, a decent coastal presence, I think, along this little arc here. But in terms of, like, making major inroads against Niflheim, I don't think so. Although this is fairly inland. So, whether this is, like, disconnected raiding or, like, a remote attack spell or, like, part of a larger campaign, we're not really sure yet. But anyway, aiming to try to get sight on as many thrones as we can. Although, of course, like we have a scout moving out, a new scout, and hey, he's diseased somehow. He's not even old yet, but I don't know, he's diseased. So our scouting is probably going to be a bit patchy for the rest of the game. Like maybe need to switch over a little more to scrying. So yeah, I think that covers turn 80.